All right, we'll call the work session to order. I think Debbie Swanson, she's absent now, but she said she will be here. The first item on the work session, the only item, is a discussion of a non-union communications director position to rename the Teamster position of web content and design to communications specialist. Karen Wallen.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So internal discussions have been going on for quite some time here at the township regarding the need of a centralized communications area that we as employees can take advantage of, and as well as people from outside knowing who they can contact to try to get information. I kind of summarized the two positions in the memo that was sent out. And it is a creation of a new position, which we would entitle Communications Director, and the job description was included in your packet. And this would streamline all communications and marketing efforts related to the township to this department. We're basically, with these two positions, creating a new communications department for the township. The position would fall directly under the township supervisor and be responsible again for planning and developing and deploying all of the township communications, website, social media, everything. It would serve as the central resource for the township staff. For me, for instance, I'll just use my department as an example. If I have a job posting that I need done, I can send something real quickly, say, okay, it's this job. This is the job description, this is the wage, and this department can put together my job posting for me and get it out to the areas that it needs to go to. If Clerk Rowe has something to do for elections, she can send that information to the department and they can put together something and get it out to where it needs to go for the elections. Now, they would also communicate with us as the department so that we would know that everything that's going out is accurate. So as a team, Mike Hoffmeister, John Hines, myself, and Supervisor Stumbo have kind of reviewed this. And John Hines was able to get some wages of some area communications departments. And so we are recommending that the starting wage for this particular director's position start at $72,000. The second part of my request is to rename the position of web content and design. Number one, nobody knows what that really means. We get questioned about that all the time. Well, what do they really do? But this position would actually fall underneath the communications director, so we thought to rename it to the communications specialist. We all agreed that this position should fall under the communications area. We didn't know, to be honest, if IT, what their thoughts would be, because currently that position falls under our IT department. However, the IT manager, without us mentioning it, very much was in favor of this, said that this type of position would fall under the communications director. Currently, the person that we have in this position works very closely with the website, social media, things like that, so it would, the duties would fall under the communications director job description. And we are recommending a wage adjustment for that position. Reason being, currently, this individual is making less than our starting salary for our clerks. This position is, or this individual has been with the township for 9 years. And I mean, she basically has the keys to our website, social media, everything in her hands. We feel like the position is worth more than what she currently is making. And the wages that John was able to bring in from his review also backed that up. So we're asking for a salary adjustment on her. I do believe that this person current employee would actually do more than what she's doing right now, because she would actually have a director over her, kind of pushing things to her and getting more involved in the website and things like that. So with that said, I'm available to answer any questions.
So we just put this on the work session to have.
Just for discussion, yes. I mean, if we do this, like I said, it's going to be developing a department. So we're going to need to get with the accounting director, because we have to have all those numbers. She is actually on vacation right now, so she was not available. So we would need to do that. And there's money that was budgeted in a few other departments for positions that we're not filling at this point. So there's been some discussion about moving money from those areas over to this. But Giovanna needs to be around for those type of discussions, and she is on vacation. So we wanted to bring it forward to discuss, and then we would actually bring it back probably to the next meeting for a formal acceptance, if that's your wish. Yes, John?
John?
Sure.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. The first one being, you said the Recreation Director, John Hines, did the research. Was it, and just out of curiosity, was it at a, I just want to know what the part of the sources were for your research?
Good afternoon. So I reached out to a few other local municipalities to get job descriptions that matched up with what we had been discussing and what we were looking for. So they sent the job descriptions as well as the salary ranges that they were being listed at.
Okay, and
City of Ann Arbor was one of them. I believe I got Pittsfield Townships as well.
okay, and you like took an average or a range, so to speak?
Yes.
Okay. And the other question is, you talked about moving money from some certain positions into the communications director positions and communications. So would those jobs still be allocated for next year or budgeted for next year?
That would be the plan, that these are permanent positions, that the department would be.
Well,
Oh, you're talking about the jobs that were taking the money?
Yeah.
I'll let Mike Hoffmeister speak to that, because one of them was within his area, so.
Okay. Mike Hoffmeister, Residential Services Director. I think the idea from staff would be to reallocate some of the funds that we had previously allocated for the Assistant Director of RSD, which we had discussed at length. And I think since that discussion at the board level, there has been a new priority for this particular position and this adjustment. So some of the funds that were allocated for that particular position could be transitioned into this particular position.
so next fiscal year, will that position still be budgeted?
I think the idea from staff would be that the priority would get transitioned to become the communications department and related staff.
Okay. So was it just that position, or were there some other positions the money was coming from?
That was the only one that I would initially think of. We haven't had in-depth conversations about the funding aspect of it. We wanted to have this conversation first before we went down the avenue of having discussions of funding that position through different avenues with Supervisor Stumbo and the other elected officials.
Okay, because that would keep the position count virtually the same. You're moving it from one position to another. So, yeah, that was a concern. All right, thanks.
Other questions or comment? Stan?
Madam Chair. Karen, thanks for bringing this forth. We Board has been discussing this for a while, and I know staff has too. I see that total cost with fringe benefits for the director position. You have an amount there. I didn't see anything for the specialist position. Is that still going to be a?
It would be
I didn't
just
see
the
it.
additional money for her salary because her fringe benefits are already budgeted. So, and let me explain that cost or total that I have for the fringe benefits. When we come and offer or approach a new position, we always go toward the highest fringe benefits. So this is taking into consideration that this person would have family coverage across the board for everything. This would include retirement costs. This would include FICA, Social Security. All of that is incorporated in that amount. So that amount could be less if the individual is single or just a two-person coverage versus a family coverage. But we like to anticipate the worst, and then we can always reduce the dollars if needed.
Did you want to?
Sorry, Jimmy, did that answer your question?
Yes, it
Okay.
did. No.
I just had a couple. For the rest of the board, I was able to meet with Karen today and go over the questions I had, and I have no problem with either position. I just had a couple other questions. I think I asked Karen most of them, but just so the rest of the board knows, this would be, the intent is this will be a single source of communication from the township out to the media. So I know, and maybe the supervisor and Doug would be the only ones that remember, but 10, 12, 15 years ago, we had a policy developed that spoke to this because of other issues we had at the time. I just want to make sure that if we approve this position, that this is the only person speaking to the media and not individual employees. That was one, and Karen did confirm that with me, so just wanted to share that with everybody. A question I did forget to ask Karen, and maybe I can ask anybody else that was on the committee, because it does say in the communications director's job description, they're going to handle marketing efforts as well. Does that mean then that our partnership, contract, whatever it was with Mark Perry is now ended? Because it would seem that we'd be duplicating that service, and I've asked this before in the past because I can't find a contract for that person.
No, Mark Perry was for property. He's a broker, and this position is only for the township and the township. What's going on in the township? And
Because
what's
it
happening in
does say
recreation?
marketing, that's why I say that.
Yeah,
does
no,
say
it
marketing.
was the intent to help market our rebranding, if, when that's approved and.
Not to sell property.
No, not anything property-wise or anything like that. And I did, as I mentioned to Stan,
Yes, it
just
says
so I
that.
can say that in front of everybody,
It's marketing.
we did discuss, if this let me reword this. This person as being the central resource for the media and things like that, they would not speak necessarily to the media, and I think Heather was in a meeting, we discussed this as well, until they had met with the 3 full-time officials. So everybody would be on the same page. Well, they would not go out on their own and speak to the media without at least speaking to the full-time officials that are available to speak to.
Yeah, and you did mention it. Can we just somehow clarify the marketing?
Yeah,
Because marketing to me means marketing, period, no matter what it is.
No, marketing in this position is like if something positive happens, then they market that, and get the good news out since we have so much negative news.
And market the
our
golf
events
course, right, yep,
And
events,
things
right,
like that,
yep.
but it's not marketing any property. Marketing the township is just kind of,
One part of that too was with, whether it be recreation or whether it be, like I said, like Brenda said, anything in the township, the creation as well. Because right now, there's not the centralized voice coming from it. It's just individually made. So I think that was kind of an idea behind it as well.
And I get all that, and I appreciate it, but if 7 of us are not sitting here in 2 years, marketing could be interpreted differently. So if we just specify it's those kind of things, that's all. Again, I agree with the position, not a problem.
what would you, should we say not property or?
I don't know.
Because a marketing degree is a marketing
I think
business.
instead of saying marketing, I would say publicize or something like that, publicizing the good works. Marketing to me could mean development of any sort. I'm marketing, I don't know, just something that differentiates it. And then last, I asked Karen, I just want to make sure from the attorney's end that the increase doesn't set a precedence because it's a member that's in a collective bargaining agreement, that they're not going to come back during contract negotiations and say, you did it there, can you do it here?
Yeah.
Because it's approximately 15% increase.
And as I mentioned to Stan when I spoke with him, in the last at least 2 negotiations with Teamsters, this position has been brought forth by that group, asking for us to do a wage survey, a market survey. They were concerned because this person was making so much less than our starting clerical, and they really were pushing us to do a market adjustment in a wage survey. We were able to get around that, but this position does warrant some type of increase. I'll put it that way. And the union would be behind that, knowing that the position is underpaid. It was the lowest paid position in their union, actually, too.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
is this individual already in the department, and what is her years of service here?
The individual is doing this type of work. She's currently under the IT department, and she has been with us for 9 years.
Doug would know about precedents. Doug, could you answer?
Well,
Precedent.
I can't guarantee that somebody in another union is not going to bring this up in the context of what's going on in the Teamsters union. I mean, so if you're looking for me to say you're not going to bring it up or point to it, I would say I can't guarantee that or say they're not going to do that. I think what Karen's indicating is that during the Teamster negotiations, there were certain positions where they wanted to do salary wage surveys, is whatever you want to call that. This was one of them. So it sounds like that's what John Hines and yourself have done, and the board's being asked to consider it. But I'm not going to tell the board that that's not going to be brought up by another union in terms of.
I just meant this union, Teamsters.
They settle.
Yeah. I just want to make sure they didn't come back later. If they don't, that's okay.
As far as the Teamsters goes, I don't think they'd have any objections since they were the ones that brought it up to begin with. But I was looking at it for more broader, I guess, in terms of what the question was.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, I know, Karen, when we talked about this before, that I had just some edits for the wording, and I think that just my only suggestion is under responsibilities and duties for the communications director, that it says responsible for coordination of the township's communication, rather than the word oversight.
Which number is that?
It's under number 1, and then it's missing the word of, but.
I'm sorry. So I couldn't hear you, Heather, what you were saying.
Responsible for coordination of the township's communications.
Okay.
Rather than oversight. And I know that we talked about that a lot in the meeting, and
Yep. I tried to grab everything.
yeah, and thank you all for bringing this to our attention. I appreciate it.
John, did you see what the city of Ypsilanti paid the person they just hired? Did you do because they just hired someone. I think we met them.
I'd have to look at it again, because I do
I'm
feel
sorry,
like
can you speak into the mic? I can't hear.
yeah, I would have to look again. I reached out to the city of Ypsilanti, and they never sent anything back to me.
Okay.
But I could try to find the public posting, if that's helpful. Right.
Pardon me?
She said it might not have been filled by that time when we looked, because that was a few months ago. But I do remember reaching out to their HR department and did not get anything back from them.
So So we can get more information on salaries too, just to make sure, it's within the range that it's supposed to be in.
Yeah, I can pull together what I already got and then pull together some other salaries and compile that.
And I just thought of this as I was sitting here that, for time off and stuff like that, they'll need a direct supervisor, but a lot of times the communication person works directly for the board or commission. But I know you need one person that can, especially if you have to discipline or praise. So, you know what I'm saying? You have to have one person, but I don't know if, we've never really done that before. But I do know a lot of the communications people work for boards and commissions directly. But they do work for, at the county level, they work for Greg Dill, right? That's who.
Yeah, administration.
Yeah, okay. All right. I was just thinking out loud. I didn't know if it could.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I know we have spoke on this before. Looking at number 11, attend events, meetings as needed to ensure expand marketing efforts, including photography, interviews, press release, and customer service. So she will be attending these events. If that be neighborhood association, any meeting of the township, any positive input we would like to do in the press. Is that correct?
I don't know if they would attend every meeting, but they,
Attend, well, it says
it
attend
say every-
township events and meetings. You might want to reword it. I don't know if
Okay.
every meeting.
good catch.
But maybe it's just some meeting. Attend township events and meetings as needed. Well, it says as needed. I do apologize. There is a clause in there. So I guess if you needed her to attend,
Like if we had a Memorial Day.
if you had Veterans Day outside or something positive, or we would like to get some media on or some good press on which we need,
Right.
this is what this person will be doing.
They would help.
Coming back and before she sends it out to check it out with the 3 officials.
Yeah. And this person would be promoting the community. Maybe that's a better word, promoting. I don't know. I know people get marketing degrees, but I don't know.
I
gotta
think
of a
too-
better word.
Sorry. I think too that the director, and the specialist, under certain circumstances, the specialist maybe could go out and take pictures and things like that, to assist the director, bring the pictures back and then them review, what has happened and go from
And
there.
she has done that.
Yes, she has. The
current-
current employee has
has
taken
attended
pictures of the Rosie
I just
show
wonder
and
what- It's been a
something.
long time.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it.
I think what we never get press releases out like a lot of communities do. And, just promoting the township and because a lot of great things are happening. We never celebrate them. We move right on to our next, work assignment, if you will. But we really have a lot of good things going on, just even with development and the people who have come here and going to be, we just don't get any positive press, really, as much as we should, let's say.
Right. And also, Madam Chair, even with all the new businesses that open around this area, unless you read the minutes for the township, you wouldn't know.
No,
Almost. You
correct,
just wouldn't know.
right.
And I think it's what we're here for, to inform our residents, our community, of the township's efforts. So I think it's a great idea.
Yes, good, and we used to do mailers, township news
Right.
that
Or
goes
put it in
out. That's another
newspaper,
thing
yeah.
that would be a good thing to have, Just, there's a lot of good things that could come out of it. So overall, is the direction to proceed, and people are,
I have two more questions, quick questions.
sure, no,
So-
take your time.
So this person will be the face of good and bad issues with the township?
Yeah. Throughout my municipal history, there was always a communications director that would respond to, not only write press releases and show up at events and take pictures and speak to the media, but also if there were emergencies, also if there were things that happened in the community that would require government response, that person would speak on behalf of the township.
Like the floods that happened?
Yep.
Okay. And what's the fringe rate of the, you have salaries and then you have a fringe rate? Do you know what that is?
Separate by itself?
No, fringes, if somebody said, well, fringes represent like 50% of wages.
It's usually 50%. Is that how you do it in the county?
Yeah.
That's how we do it, or
Yeah.
that's how I do it, I should say. It's about 50% of what.
Okay.
Depends if it's a family versus.
Right.
Which would lend itself to, understand how closing one position would account for the salaries and fringes of those two positions.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. Yep.
That's what we do.
Yeah. That's what we're proposing, right?
We discussed it, but I'm not sure. Are you proposing that we eliminate the assistant RSD totally?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? So we'll work on it based on the information, questions that were asked. Is there anything else? Jimmy, Stan, Gloria, John, that you can
No,
think
ma'am.
of? Well, we have time to fine tune it too before we bring it back.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
You also, the fire chief is retiring.
Oh, yes, I guess why I'm here, we did, I believe I notified all of the board, but we did receive notice from the fire chief that he is planning to retire the end of June, right? June 27th, I think it is, the exact date, that last Friday. So we are starting the process. I've been working on looking back what we did back in 2009, what worked for us in 2009, what didn't work for us, putting together new stats on the department, on call runs and things like that to be able to have information to get that position posted. So that will be a position that actually will include a written test and oral interviews, and we usually hire an outside company to come in to do that. So it is in the works. Anything else? Yes, we are still in need. If you're out and about, we are in need of seasonal employees, both for parks and grounds and for the golf course. I know Robin is still in need of gate staff. So if you're out and about and hear of anybody, please refer them our way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Building official, chief building official, yeah. So, yes. Good? All right, thank you. We do. We do have 2 vacancies, and I am actually hearing rumors that we have a couple of the guys that are in the drop preparing to leave as well. So we really need this eligibility list that we're advertising right now. We really need people to get their applications in. Things are kind of slow right now. I'm hoping that that's because they are updating their testings with Conference of Western Wayne and IMCO. So we still have a couple more weeks, but I'm hoping for a good amount to come in over the next couple weeks, because we do have some positions that need to be filled.
Any question?
The latest hire, I will say this, the latest hire, I just got notice today, has completed his probationary period, and he is now out on the floor as a counted member of the department, so that's a good thing.
Thank you, Karen. All right, we'll go to the agenda review. The consent agenda, the minutes of the board meeting and work session. I sent a few changes to Clerk Rowe. Statements and checks, and the treasurer's report. Any questions on that? Stan, do you want to tell about how you're doing the collection of personal property? I mean, that's it. Yeah, I like that.
Let me just grab it here. I have it right with me.
Oh, okay. You can do that the next one.
So, no, I can just give it to him real quick. For the rest of the board members, the deputy treasurer ran some balances that we have outstanding for businesses for personal property. We have a number of them, but there was a select few, a dozen or less, that had significant amounts owed that it spanned the course of numerous years. So we had written them letters, hadn't gotten any responses, and so I just got in the car one day and started driving to the businesses and made contact with the owners, was able to get some via phone calls once we met with their management staff. And to date, we've collected roughly $40,000 over the last 2 weeks, and we just had the biggest business that owed us a little over $45,000 come in and begin a payment plan that Doug helped us draft, and they signed that, and we notarized that they've begun a payment process that should eliminate their debt over the course of the next 2 years. So,
That's great.
yeah, so we're getting most of those taken care of. The smaller amounts, we're still contacting the owners and trying to work up a payment plan because the last 2 years hit those businesses kind of hard, and their revenues weren't quite the same. So rather than going to court and seeking it in one lump sum, in many cases, we're trying to work out a payment plan that will allow them to continue to operate and be viable while still paying off the previous amounts. So far, they've all been open and amenable to that process.
Thank you, Stan. Is there any general legal update, Mr. Winters? Okay. New business, we have Circuit Court request for action on 3 properties. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4 properties. Belinda Kingsley is here.
Good evening, Belinda Kingsley, Community Compliance Director. I didn't hear if you said 3 or 4 properties, but we have 4 properties that we're requesting circuit court litigation. Just get authorization for that. 3 of them are padlock cases, and there have been several letters that have been sent out by Attorney Winters outlining the issues at those 3. That was on one memo. The other one is probably new to you, and that one is parcel where a business opened up without approval, started parking trucks, and they had apparently been told by the previous owner that they had approval to do that. And even though Jason Icoangeli, the planning director, responded promptly to their attorney and said they did not have approval for that, they continued on and opened that business. So we're seeking litigation to try to bring them into compliance.
Are there questions? And I know that you've been working with Danny McLean
Yes.
on
Yeah.
this as well.
This is,
Questions or comments about what's on the agenda? All right, thank you, Belinda.
Thank you.
Next time is request to approve the master agreement for municipal street lighting with DTE for streetlights for the Huron Street pathway in the amount of $97,000, which is budgeted contingent upon a budget amendment, which, Michael?
Good evening, Mike Hoffmeister, Residential Services Director. At the last meeting, you all approved the master agreement for municipal street lighting for Huron Street Phase 1, which is the South Huron River Drive to James L. Hart. This is a second agreement that will allow us to install municipal street lighting from I-94 south to James L. Hart. That will allow a consistent lighting from I-94 all the way down to South Huron River Drive along Huron Street. And this goes along and in coordination with the trail installation that is currently ongoing, as well as the trail project in partnership with MDOT in the city of Ypsilanti, which is a go. So we'll talk about that later. But this is for DTE street lighting, and you can see the map there. It's 21 street lights staggered on both the east and the west sides of the road. It is, yes, it is. Though the yellow dots are all the lights that were proposed to be put in. Correct. And this is 21.
So we're talking 45 total of line along the Huron? Okay.
Mike, can you just explain the phase 1 and 2 span again?
Sure. So phase 1, which was previously approved and which is under construction now, is South Huron River Drive to James L. Hart. And then this is in partnership with the MDOT City of Ypsilanti trail installation and road and bridge construction that takes us from James L. Hart and the eastbound I-94 exit, which is on the leftmost part of your map, to I-94, basically. Yeah, so the map you're seeing is left to right is actually north is to the right, south is to the left. Yep. So our proposal for streetlights is to exactly where I-94, see that last yellow dot? Yeah. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Supervisor Stumble, but I think the city is also putting lights in from I-94 north as part of their portion of the project. So there will be streetlights going over I-94, but we are just recommending our portion, which is shown on the map here.
So all these lighting projects, I think is great, because we have them on US 12 as well, and I know it helps with safety. And it just, makes it nicer to drive down and be able to see what we're doing, which means we'll have to budget every year additional operating dollars as well. And so you'll see that number increase next year as we install the ones, for this year. Well, actually, it'll increase this year if they get them installed this year, which they should. Mm-hmm. But who knows? You can't count on anything anymore. So if we get them installed this year, then we'll have it increase that budget line item for the operation of them. But for sure, next year, you'll see there's a general lighting district, and that's for the primary roads like Grove Road, Ecorse, Ford Boulevard, I'm trying to think of Washtenaw. The township is at large. And then there's individual, street lighting districts in each neighborhood as well. So I think it's good to invest in this kind of infrastructure. And I know it's made a difference on US 12 going to Canton and the accidents that have occurred there in the evening. Any other questions or comment? The next item is for the Huron Street Trail Project for $6,000 budget amendment, which is for the permit fee from the Road Commission.
Yes, so this is change order number 1 for Huron Street Phase 1, which is ongoing. All-Star Excavating, I'll just put the quick report about the project. They are moving incredibly fast, if you haven't seen. They are currently working on the northeast portion of the project in front of Eagle Crest currently, and they're hoping to be laying asphalt in the very near future, so they are ahead of schedule. This change order allows us to provide $6,000 allowance for Washtenaw County Road Commission's permit inspection services. This is taken out of the contingency within the budget of the project, so there's no budget amendment for this. This is just a contingency, and then whatever the Road Commission does not use will get reallocated back into the project budget.
The annual operating cost for the lights is $7,014 for this section. That's a good investment. One thing they usually require them to pull a permit. Is that in the contract, or did we miss it? Or
For
not
the Road
us?
Commission,
Yeah,
I believe they have to pull the permit before they can even begin construction. This is for the Road Commission's inspections only.
$6,000.
That's what the projection is, yeah.
All right. We'll have to discuss that with them at our next meeting. Right, Stan and Heather? The next item is to actually pay for the Huron Street, our portion improvements, that is the bridge over Huron Street leading to the township. So there's a total amount in there of $162,100.
Yes, this is an agreement with MDOT related to the bridge portion of the project of Huron Street. This does include the mast arms, which were previously discussed at the board, as well as all engineering services related to that particular portion of the project.
Questions on, originally, they did not think it was going to proceed because it came in $2 million more than anticipated. And we had a meeting with State Representative Ronnie Peterson and the MDOT director, and they agreed to find the money in the Michigan budget, which is good, which they have a lot of money coming from the federal government. So it was good that we were able to get it allocated and award the contract, which we did not think it was going to proceed. So that's why it's on the agenda this evening, which is good news, right? Number 6 is request to approve the second agreement with Washtenaw County Road Commission for road improvements. The Road Commission provided, and Clerk Rowe distributed it at the last meeting, I think, but it was like $20 million worth of asset management improvements for the township roads. So we invest a lot in roads, a lot, every year, but 20 million is like the total for all of it to do the entire township and address the PACER ratings, which is the pavement rating, I think it's 1 through 5? Something like that. I put it in the packet, the map that they provided, but, oh, no, I didn't. It's not in there. But I guess that this will give the second agreement, we already did one, which was the dust control, the street sweeping that we do every year. And this is the actual, we had asked them to go back and look at Michigan Avenue and the subdivisions to the north and actually to the west, which is like Firwood, and then the other, but this is the list we got. So that we went through the list, and Mansfield is one of them, but there's every street over there needs to be, some sort of maintenance or paving. But we decided that what we should probably do is really get a good plan, and we talked about it here before, to see if we wanted to do another bonding, possibility of using ARPA funds for roads, which I think Stan and Heather and I all have heard. I don't know if you guys have heard. People have requested to fix the doggone roads, in the township, and there's a great need for it. So we went through the ones that were on their list, and we'll come back with another one. There was some unpaved roads that need limestone lifts on them, and we can bring those back as well. And they've awarded the contract to the paving company, so they know what it's going to cost to do it. And we'll bring back probably a third agreement, and then hopefully our board can talk about just how do you want to, or if you want to, I don't even know I think I know, but no one's, do you want to address the infrastructure and the roads in the township and come up, with a plan to do so? So we did a $6 million bond 10 years ago. That was the most we've ever done at the township at that time. And the interest rate was 1.75, but now the interest rate is climbing up. So, those are all the things, Mr. Finance Man, that we need to look at before doing. And then maybe discussion at ARPA. We sent ARPA all the requests from the road commission, the $20 million, which we can't do that, but we can decide if we want to as a board to really aggressively attack and plan for the next 4 or 5 years and how we want to do it. But this is what this was some of the roads. What they sent over was 1.5 million. Yeah, I consider them capital one-time expenditures. Is that what you mean?
Well, capital projects are over like 5 years, paid over 5 years, whereas expensed, it's expensed in 1 year.
Yeah, our bonding project, we paid $660,000 a year. We paid on that bond, in addition to all the roads that we always do.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's over time.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we need to really think about how we want to do this as a board, the capital improvements over the 4 or 5 year asset management plan. So they provided the maps and the PACER rating, but Heather and I were looking at it, and some of the roads we've just done in 18, 19, and 20 were on the PACER rating as being bad. So we didn't understand that and wanted to have a meeting with the 3 full-time officials and the road commission just to get a better handle on how they came up with the PACER rating when we just made investments in those streets already. Like March Road is a mess, and they fixed it, 3 times? I know twice for sure, but it's still a mess today, and I don't understand that.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to share and add is that there was like an option on there to do a portion of Munger Road in partnership with Pittsfield Township, but by the time they went through the roads that were a priority to them this year, especially considering their millage changes that have happened this year, their supervisor just said or mentioned that in the future, like, we'll try to prioritize those partnerships working together, and that the road commission, I guess, in the past had sort of helped coordinate those things. But anyways, the supervisor from Pittsfield is looking forward to partnership with us in the future and just keeping that in our minds, as well as Augusta and trying to get Bemis Road paved. Fingers crossed. So, and then, of course, Clark partners with Superior at some point. So just keeping that in mind.
Madam Chair, so this is a part of the list that was sent out to everyone, that 1.1 million something they wanted. So Heather was saying that she's going to go back and try to negotiate, see if we could just do some roads. So out of this 270,000, is this part of that deal you negotiated?
So the second road agreement, Gloria, that I shared with you and Debbie again, these are the ones, sorry, I lost my page in the book. These are the ones that we decided, kind of to move ahead and go forward with. And then I think what Supervisor Stumbo's explaining is that collectively, we just kind of need to figure out what ones we're going to prioritize and how we want to move forward, because this is the last year of our bond. It was a 10-year, right, bond? And so before, spending all that money, what's the big picture going to look like, and how are we going to move forward with it?
But they are going to do a few roads with this
Yeah,
project.
they're going
And
to
I
do,
can't find it on there either.
hold on, I just lost my page. They're going to do
Andrea,
Lakeview, no,
Lakeview Avenue, I Street, Rolling Court, from Conway Street to Foley Avenue. So they're
That's a
listed
start.
out. And it's $500-some
here it is.
thousand total.
there.
But it looks as if we may not be doing the 77,000
Okay.
for Munger Road yet.
So right, that's correct. So the most current one in your packet has Mansfield, Andrea, Lakeview, and Rolling Court to Foley, which is a total of the 415,000, but then with the local matching funds, it puts us at a 50-50 share, cost sharing. So our expense will be 207,500.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, that was a long way to
Yeah.
get to it. There it is.
Okay. Any questions, comments, suggestions? Everyone awake? All right. The next one is just annually, we do a temporary road closure request for Oberrun, which is a 5K run, and for Run Scream Run. So these two resolutions will go, we have to adopt them here and then send them to the road commission. Any questions then? The next item is a budget amendment. One was for a PTO payout at 75%, the proposed second agreement with Washington County Road Commission, and for DTE street lights in the township portion of Huron Bridge project that we talked about, as well as recreation fund DTE wrote and check to Ypsilanti Township for the Jazz Festival. Johnny Lawrence, as you know, we're planning our first jazz festival every Friday from 7 to 9 at Ford Lake Park. So he's going to DTE instead of writing it to Johnny Lawrence, because he has a 501c3 set up now. Instead of writing it to him, they wrote it to Ypsilanti Township. So what will happen is we will accept the dollars and add a new expenditure line item for special park events, and then Johnny Lawrence will bill us an invoice for his services to put the Jazz Festival on of $5,000. I'm sorry? I'm not understanding you, I'm sorry.
When you were talking about for the,
Jazz Festival, yeah.
is that anywhere up here?
Well, request, it's under 230 Recreation Fund, request to increase budget and add a new expenditure line item called Special Park Events. The request is for the receipt of donations from DTE for the Jazz Festival.
On the budget amendment.
Budget amendment number 7?
It's in the packet?
Okay, all right,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I can see that.
Okay, all right. And then the 2006 bond fund of $50, which I'm not sure why we have to do $50, but Giovanna said we had to do it. And That's all of the budget amendments. Any questions on the budget amendment? Authorization bids, we have request to accept the website development proposal from Revise for a 5-year agreement in the amount of $52,100. And Travis is here. Travis?
Greetings, I'm available for any questions, should you have them.
You want to go over the proposal and just?
Well, yeah, so we went out to bid for the website, and we received several qualified bids. We interviewed 2 of them, and Revise is the one that looks the most qualified, as they really gear towards government websites. If you do ask out other IT-related people, who would they recommend? Generally comes back with Revise and one other vendor who did not bid on our project. The initial cost was what, 53, roughly, 52.1. That includes the first year of maintenance, and then every ongoing year for that maintenance, it's $6,700. It is a 5-year agreement with an 1-year auto renewal at the end of it, which is really common among all the agreements that we saw. I know there were a few questions that came up regarding some of the language that was in here. Notably, the attorney's comments regarding the storage costs. I don't know if you received my email I sent kind of late, but what's that?
5 minutes ago?
Yeah. So, yeah, sorry, I apologize for not getting that out sooner. But hopefully that solves those questions. If there's anything else, we're looking forward to moving forward with this project. Right now, our web admin is currently out on leave, so we have a temp in place to help move this project along as quickly as we can.
I have a question, Madam Chair. If this is approved, Travis, how long would it take to set this whole website deal up?
Realistically, or what they're claiming?
What they're planning?
I think what they claim, thanks iPad for scrolling all the way to the top. What were their time schedules? I think if I recall, his time schedule was 4 to 5 months.
4 to 5 months?
Or was that my time schedule?
I know, because we've been talking about it for quite a while.
Yeah, we've definitely been talking about it for quite a while, and I'm really looking forward to getting this moving. Realistically, I think you're really looking at about 4 to 5 months.
4 to 5 months. Okay, thank you.
I'm hoping to produce something a lot quicker.
Travis, do you have, it mentions 11 responses. Generally, in most requests, they outline which companies bid, what the costs were, or at least, if you don't have all 11, do you have the other companies so that we can see that one as well? And you don't have to give it now, but maybe before the meeting.
I can grab that information. I don't have my Trello board up on my iPad.
Travis, there was a committee, correct?
It was a committee. It was reviewed by a committee. It was members, Clerk Heather Rowe, Mike Hoffmeister, and John Hines all participated in reviewing those, along with Becky and myself.
Madam Chair. Stan, I can provide you those numbers before the end of the meeting. We ended up, we'll just say that Revise, we ended up interviewing 4 groups. 3. One of them, we had some technical difficulties getting scheduled together, and so we decided that was a sign that we weren't in control of anymore. So we did some interviews, and this group seemed particularly well-versed in the sort of thought process that goes behind building a website, as how it relates to how people use a website. Like, they're very data-driven. And if you guys want, I can also pull up their RFP really quick and show you some of their other websites that they had. But we, of course, as our committee, we vetted we did look at the cost, and if just from the top of my head, remember this being a reasonably priced one. Of course, with 11 responses, there's always like a high end, a low end, and both of those are generally red flags. And Revise came in very reasonable. The other websites that they support, we looked at all of them extensively and found that they were pretty user-friendly. And during the interview, I think they answered all of our technical questions. There were some questions about, we keep a lot of information on our website. I don't know if you guys know that, but we have like packets back to the 2000s. And so there was questions about that, especially how it'll relate to the clerk's office and our document uploading. But we've sort of worked out all of those logistic problems. And most importantly, I think, is that the IT department feels comfortable with it. Our committee, of course, had a lot of opinions. It was myself, John Hines, Mike Hoffmeister, and Travis, and Becky. But, you know, we kind of let IT take the lead because, frankly, I know how to upload documents and download documents, and that's about it. So, but the Revised company seemed very professional and more than capable of doing the work, so.
Where are they located? I tried to find that, I couldn't find.
Troy, Michigan.
Address on that.
So they're also relatively local.
Michigan base, that's good.
Southeast.
On constituent engagement center apps, one of the things that they had in here, that chat room and optional chat bot with artificial intelligence available at additional annual fee. And I think those are the little boxes that come up and you can ask a question and it will find the information for you. Is that?
Yeah, that would be a chat bot.
Is that what I'm looking at? Well, it's at an additional annual fee. What would that be? I think that's a good, I know the county has that, and I really, for me, but maybe I'm not a good searcher, but.
Honestly, we didn't really look into the cost. It is something that we can add later on, which would probably be recommended. Get the basic site up and running and then work on your chatbot, because developing in that requires a very established frequently asked questions section, because ultimately that's what it's based on. So there's a lot of work that has to be done before that, but we can get the cost and see what it takes to add that.
I find it helpful for me to have that when I'm on websites and I just can chat in that and they'll go right to the page that I need, or they'll give you several options too. But I might not be on the A team for searching, websites, so I don't know if that would be helpful to other people, but
It is.
I find it very helpful.
It is the new way of essentially searching. And behind the scenes, all a chat box does is it's a search box that pretends to be more human-like. It does require a little bit more structure to make sure that your search results are adequate and structured well. But behind the scenes is another search box. But it is really the way that most of it's going. Like most platforms, people are going mobile. They want to chat to somebody or to something, as long as it doesn't have that fake typing sound that some I've heard on the phone a few times. But it's definitely something we can look at.
So is the idea that the communications director position would work closely with this team of people, or?
Yes, they would. Pretty much the entire web content and all, the website would be the responsibility of the communications department, which would be your communications director and specialist.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just had the numbers for you guys if you wanted. So this is from our sort of short list of the folks that we interviewed. The M3 group, they came in, and they're also in Michigan, 63,000. Jesse James Creative, which is out of New York, was 60,000. Planetaria, which is from California, and they were 53,000. And then Revise from Troy, Michigan, which is who Travis is recommending tonight, was 51,000.
We've waited a long time to try to get our website revitalized, so. Yeah, that was cute, I thought. Marketing. So, and I know it has to be contingent upon attorney's approval for sure.
Well, I reviewed it, and Travis indicated I asked some questions, and so I do have an answer. I don't know if that's going to change my comments, but all that I would continue to caution the board, and I think it's prudent to do so. So I sound like a broken record. It's because I am on this issue about automatic renewals. And I think that the day will come when there'll be new board members up here, new attorneys. But at the same time, when you have a 5-year contract and it has an automatic 1-year renewal thereafter, the question always comes up, okay, and I don't know how many of these contracts we currently have with automatic renewals. I'm even seeing some of these clauses in very, very significant monetary contracts. And I think it's going to be a challenge down the road for to keep track of these. And if a company like Revise, if they have a good product for 5 years and they seem to be hitting all the key points that the township wants them to hit, I would think that at the end of that time period, they would come back and say, you know, we've proven ourselves, and maybe we'd go for another 5 years. But the automatic renewal is just something that I continue just to caution the board, because I don't know. I know Mike Hoffmeister has got a lot of those automatic renewals. I know Rick Roy does too. And there may be other ones I'm not aware of. It's just more of a cautionary comment about the contract itself, has some issues about storage and how to budget accordingly. I think Travis answered those in his email. I haven't had a chance to really review that. But again, I think the automatic renewals is just something that continues to be an issue with me, but it may be more of a issue or a challenge for future boards, because it does require a constant tracking of all these different contracts. But it's more of a board policy, but it is one that I think I should bring. I do believe, as the attorney, I should bring it to the board's attention. That's the only issue that continues to concern me. Not the only issue, but one of the issues that continues to occur in a number of these contracts.
So you're recommending that we not do the automatic renewal?
I would strike.
That we have the right to automatic?
I would strike that from the contract. It's a 5-year contract. There's a provision that says at the end of 5 years, they should give us notice in so many days. It automatically renews for a year. My only concern is that 5 years, who's going to, it requires a constant tracking of these contracts. And if you feel comfortable with future boards tracking these, that's fine. It's just that I think if you have a 5-year contract, if you've not proven yourself, come back and say, we did what we said we're going to do. It's just a constant requirement for the Recreation Department. I think it requires from RSD. I know the clerk's office has these too. And so I think it's a way sometimes that even this contract I reviewed this past week, and it's not on the board agenda tonight, but even that one had automatic renewals, and that was hundreds of thousands of dollars involved. And it's just that I guess that the issue from a policy standpoint, the automatic renewals, is just one that at some point in time probably should take front and center. No matter how dollar-wise the contract might be, some are smaller than others, some are greater than others, much greater. But the concern lies therein. How do you track these contracts? And maybe there's a way of doing it that everybody feels comfortable with. I just think that these sometimes get signed and then at some point in time, I mean, even Travis may not be able to track these. So it's just a concern that I have looking outward more than at the present as to how it's going to be handled by future boards. And that's just part of these issues that continue to at least concern me. But again, it's not a legal decision for me to make that call. It's just to bring it to your attention and see if you wish to strike that. That's your prerogative, because I don't think it's going to do any harm to the 5-year contract that's being proposed.
So what you're saying is after the 5 years, it automatically renews for another year. So if that's stricken, then they have to, if they want the year or even beyond, they have to come back and say, well, this is what we've done.
Right. In fact, what usually happens is that once it starts renewing every year, then then that 6th year gets renewed automatically. And
Oh, okay.
7th year, it goes on and on.
I see. Yep.
It may not be a problem. It may not
Right.
be a problem, but I'm just saying, but at some point in time, when someone's been here 10, 12 years, say, well, how come you're here 10, 12 years? Well, I've got 5 years of renewals.
Yeah, I got you. So it could be 5 1-year renewals.
It's just that, again, if you have if a 5-year contract is a pretty good contract to start out with, and I think that, again, I would defer to the IT committee and everybody involved in what the work they did for the 5-year. Maybe it also goes into the pricing and the what goes into getting a new system set up. I understand all that. Just don't quite understand about the automatic renewal portion. And you have to give 30 days notice by email and letter. In 5 years, who knows what type of technology will exist in 5 years. And but it's your call to make. It's just I think I should bring it to your attention, which I did in my letter, which I'm doing right now.
One
I
more.
think BSA is like that too. Like,
BSNA is a annual renewal, yes. Every year they renew.
yeah, I think a lot of the computer programs that we purchase and software. I have a question, just for clarity for me. It says that annual services and website hosting start the day of the kickoff project meeting. The annual fee will be a locked-in rate of $6,700 for the first 5 years. So is a kickoff the first, does that mean your first meeting? To me, that should occur when the website's ready, right? Because if it takes 5 months to do it and we're in the 5th month already, then you're paying $6,700 for
7 months.
3, yeah. I don't know, I don't know the answer to the question, but just a question. Maybe it's just, I don't know when the kickoff meeting is. Is it at the end or is it at the beginning?
Yeah, that is a very good question because it's not in their phase schedule anywhere where it phrases kickoff. And
Yeah, that terminology wasn't there, so I am
Yeah.
not sure I wasn't sure on what that meant.
normally it would be the very first meeting, which I fully understand and agree with your thoughts on that one. We can definitely get clarification that the annual fee doesn't start until the site goes live.
Yeah, so you're not getting a year worth of hosting and annual services. You're only getting maybe 2 or 3 months. Maybe you can just ask for clarity. Did you have a question, John?
So with the automatic renewal, say for instance, after it says annual support and maintenance is locked in at $6,700. So for the automatic renewal, the price can go up automatically without anybody noticing. Or in other words, that 6th year can be $7,500 and by it being automatically renewed, the price can go to 7,500.
I know that's it for 5 years. I don't know what happens after 5 years.
Well, yeah, after the 5 years with the automatic renewal.
I think you would be correct. After the 5 years, they could increase it to any cost at all. And we should probably, and I somehow missed this, is capping what that increase can be. Because I don't know how I missed that.
They say like a certain percentage, but.
Often they do on their annual renewals that the annual renewal will not exceed a certain percentage of increase. BSNA on general is about 3% increase every single year.
It does say in number 10 that Revise will provide a free redesign of the website in year 5 of the agreement. This assumes the township agrees to 5 consecutive years of annual software subscription, tech support, CMS updates. So that looks like they do think about it in 5 years.
Yeah. Basically, if you renew for another 5 years, at the end of the 5 years, we go through this whole design process and develop the framework process again.
I just would really ask for clarity on an annual fee. And maybe they can prorate it like they do in number 17, they have a proration. So maybe there's a way to do that, unless we assume that we have to pay that. At the kickoff, was that?
At the kickoff, there was a initial
7,000.
17,000 once the project initiates. Then another 17,000 after the design is approved, and the rate remaining is once the website goes live or the first year or 1 year after the kickoff meeting. I don't think anyone wants to wait 1 year for our website to go live.
So we could approve it if everyone's comfortable, contingent upon attorney review and some of the things that have been, brought up.
I'll send an email right after the work session. I'm not sure I'll get a response back before the agenda item comes up for review. But I will send an email as soon as I can.
Yeah, we just need clarity on it. Did you invite him to come tonight?
I did not.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair.
We'll meet him eventually.
The only other thing I wanted to add, and I know it's not foolproof, but even as a trustee, like Doug is always warned about the renewing contracts, and it's again not a foolproof method, but I do know that Giovanna has some sort of automatic renewal Excel spreadsheet of some kind that we've discussed, and maybe we can just, share that in full with the board at some point during, maybe when we go over the budget this year, or some other way to help everyone feel comfortable moving forward, but also, of course, having the safeguards that Attorney Winters, has talked about are important.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Are we comfortable with this proceeding? Contingent upon attorney's review.
Just one question. Do they believe a kickoff meeting has occurred already?
No, not to my understanding.
Didn't he? Yeah, good question. I do think it should be prorated. But with not asking them directly, we just need to have a conversation with them to make sure there's clarity on it. Any other questions or comments? And to also look at not having the 5-year renewal, possibly. It could be an option. Housing.
Yeah.
We do it on every software, though. I know it's that way, but
I feel like it's a,
standard.
It's
yeah.
standard,
I think it is a standard, but if we catch it, and I think Heather stated, and it is accurate, that Giovanna's now tracking all of those to help with that exact same issue, Doug, that you talked about. Good. Glad to be moving that forward. The next item is request to authorize sealed bids for 4 new ordinance and zoning vehicles.
Mike Hoffmeister, Residential Services Director. This is a request to seek sealed bids, as Supervisor Stumble mentioned, for 4 new Ford Explorers. In the fall of 2021, you all approved us to go to bid and accepted 1 new vehicle for ordinance and zoning. The goal with this entire project is to auction, as we do an annual auction, would be to auction a number 4 to 5 of our much older vehicles that are from the early 2000s and even some of the 90s vehicles. Current ordinance and zoning vehicles would get transitioned to replace some of those older vehicles, and then these new vehicles would go to replace the vehicles that we'd move from ordinance and zoning to some of the other departments. Ordinance and zoning staff utilize their vehicles every day, always, and receive the majority of, they receive a lot of wear and tear due to their daily use. So the thought process is to utilize the newest vehicles in their department, transition the moderately used vehicles into some of the other departments that are not often used, replacing the vehicles that we're going to auction. So this will come back to the board for approval. The goal is to use motor pool fund balance to pay for these vehicles. In discussions with Director Giovanna Neal, we are doing well in fund balance at the motor pool level, so plenty of funds to purchase 4 new vehicles, assuming we know the price. Also, the lead time for vehicles is still 6 to 8 months, so we're trying to get ahead of it now, going into the fall and winter months.
Questions or comments? They'll be brought back to the board. All right. Any other business? Any board member update? Then we can adjourn the work session.
Madam Chair, sorry, I'll just do our little quick ARPA update if you don't mind. Not a whole lot to share at this board meeting, but I wanted to just let everyone know that myself and Gloria Peterson met with Pastor Kraut and his son to discuss a project that they have called Peace, and it is essentially a recreation center that would be built on the property that is their church, but it is separate from the church. It's their own private 501c3. And so we went to visit the site and just had some discussion around the possibilities there. And that is all.
All right.
Thank you.
John, do you have any?
So would that be a public recreation center or a private recreation center for the church?
Their idea, I believe, is to be a public community center for anyone
Okay.
in the community. They already have a few programs within their church, but again, this is a separate 501c3, so, just in case. But they have retired school teachers that help with reading programs, helping kids on the computer, learning to type resumes and stuff like that. So it was a really nice experience, and we're very grateful that Pastor Kraut invited us there, and thanks to Supervisor Stumbo for sharing that information with us so we could get there.
And if I could say, he also submitted a draft of the building. I don't know. He just gave us a copy of it.
Yeah, I can make you a copy on that.
But I think it's a good idea, but I think there has to be more discussion behind it, of course. Because he is looking, just make it very clear, he's looking, hopefully, to get some of the fund money, the Apple fund money. But I think there has to be some discussion about, of course, any project or anyone submits it. And so We just went and listened, and he showed us, he has a lot of land out there. It's like 20,
Yeah, he does.
I don't, did you say 27?
Or 27, you're right.
Yeah, 27 acres out there. I mean, there has to be discussion, who can use this project? I think, community, is it age limited? I did ask if there would be a track around the gym, because that would be great for senior citizens out there. To me, that would make it more of a community center. You know, you can't have everything in a community center. You can't have, well, you can, but of course, the budget's high, you know, a weight room, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, he's very adamant about it. He's going to be meeting with some other people, and of course, any money he can get from the township, appreciate it, but he's going after, you know, talking, I guess, to the right people. And the project is like $7 million, I believe, $6 or $7 million. So just to let you know, he did submit it to us, but there's more information needs to follow.
And me and Trustee Peterson also highly encouraged them to just continue asking at the county, not because we're not interested, but because the county has, again, promised a rec center for a long time, and it would be a great site, so.
Maybe a $3 million appropriation from
Debbie G.
Representative Dingle to go there.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
I know he is going to have a meeting. He sat there and asked for a meeting with state rep and some other business people. So he's going to try to get this together. I mean, not trying, he's adamant about it. But he's going to go after other funds. And, you know, he didn't even quote us. And I guess when we did the meeting, we have to tell every detail, because we don't kind of detail, because we need you to know. He didn't ask for amount. He just asked if we could assist him. So there was not a plan for amount. He didn't say anything about amount. But I think it's something that, you know, everybody would like to see the entire plan, if it happens. Anything else about that? Did I miss anything?
I just had one quick question. So if he has a rec center, where's the rec center located? I mean,
It's on his property.
It's on Wired, it's off Tyler Road and Wired, it's right off the expressway there. You know, his church is
Oh, I
located
didn't know-
right there.
Didn't know where his church
Oh, yeah.
was.
Okay.
It's on Tyler Road,
All
right
right.
before the expressway. It's called New Covenant Baptist Church.
Okay. Okay, so I guess I'm trying to figure if the township still has a plan for a rec center and the church has a plan for a rec center and there's a rec center on Clark Road, am I correct in those three rec centers?
I don't want to speak for everyone, John, but I don't know that we as a township have a plan any longer for a rec center within our boundaries. The YMCA issue is come and gone.
I have a meeting Thursday.
So I think the last I heard, one of the spots that the county or the YMCA might be looking at is the Water Street property again on Michigan Avenue. But I don't know that we would have anything here.
And he was talking about community center and rec center, or, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a gym, and frankly, just as is the feeling I got from Pastor Kraut, is I think it's more of like a mission, if you will, a vision for him, and I think regardless of whatever the county does or doesn't do and continues to not do, I think he's gonna do it anyways, you know? And so it was just really an invitation for us to hear what he's got planned for the community, and, yeah, but of course it's a good question. But anytime we can get more gyms for more kids to be in, sounds like a great idea.
all right, we'll adjourn at 6:33, and I'll see y'all back here at 7. Debbie Swanson's not coming, right.